excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Okay, Reid Wilkins in for Dustin Nielson today. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Late in the first half, Detroit Lions leading the Chicago Bears 16-0. From what I've seen of this game, it is domination by Detroit. I will apologize. Well, not in advance. I guess I'll just apologize if for some reason somebody was tuning in and didn't expect me to say the score. I used to get that all the time. Not all the time, but I would get it doing shows on 630 Ched. I would do a scoreboard, and I would get angry messages from people saying, Reid, can you not say that one game score because I'm taping it and going to watch it later? And my reply would always be, I'm not tailor-making the content for one person. I'm assuming that most people listening to a sports show want the scores. So, seriously, guys, you shouldn't have to say spoiler alert as a radio host on a sports show giving sports scores. You shouldn't have to say spoiler alert.
You shouldn't listen to it, right? You just shouldn't listen to it. But I don't understand that. But you know what? Can we do a little bit of teaching time today, though? Reid, I have something to discuss with you. Yeah, maybe not get off my chest, but just some learning. And this is important because I as you guys know, I'm dating 4 women. And so I learn a lot about emotions and feelings. And I've actually been learning a lot about texting recently. I've been learning a lot about texting. And so one of my my wife's complaints is if she asks me a question or communicates something to me via text, because sometimes you do that, you don't necessarily need to pick up the phone. And if someone says something and you want to make your spouse angry or frustrate them, just reply with okay or okay period. Because apparently it's super passive aggressive. So we were talking. Reid was texting before the show. He's like, "Hey guys, here's the lineup. Here's what's going on. Is there anything else we should add?" And so I suggested my idea, and Reid just sent okay, and that's what he said. So now I laugh because I know you're not being actual passive aggressive, and you're not trying to create any issues because I just don't care. But it made me giggle because what I have started to do with my wife now is that anytime she asks me anything, I just one-word replies, either okay or yeah or okay period or sure or yes, just super short answers via text. And it's really passive-aggressive, apparently. So just wanted to let you know that as we're all trying to learn and grow as men and as people and women that are watching the show. If you text okay or okay period, apparently that's passive-aggressive. So Reid, I just wanted to pass that on to you today. Just to increase your text capacity and your ability to communicate well, because you communicate so well on air here. You're so incredibly well spoken and such a wise guy and not like a wise guy, but you're smart and well spoken individual that I just felt we should share that. So
I literally just meant okay though. I literally meant
I know
that's
but
cool.
But that's
if we get to that.
If you get to that, and even just the K, just the letter K, as Max Bezzozo's in on the nasty chat, like that too. Yeah, it gets you. Yeah, so
that reminds me of
passive aggressive.
That reminds me of a story. A buddy of mine was talking about his manager at work, who was very high ranking within the company that my buddy worked at, and he said he's like, I don't get the guy because I'll email him and I'll kind of be like, hey, here's what you asked me, or here's where I'm at today, and I might need you to approve this or sign off on this, and the guy would write back either just the letter K, sometimes not even capitalized, or he would reply thanks, but he would just write TX. Like at first he started doing like the thanks without the vowel. So it would be like THKS. So you leave, but then he started shortening that to just TX. And my buddy was like how busy is the guy? Like, like you can't even write a full word back to me. Like,
yeah. Well, and that's it's like because you're kind of left like, well, what does that mean? Like, what does okay mean? Is it actually okay? Or are you being passive aggressive and being like, okay, like, so anyways, it just always makes me giggle because as I said, I intentionally do it to her all the time. She'll be like, hey, I was thinking about picking it up, like, and I'll just be like, K, just one letter, and she'll be like, hey, I need you to get the girls. Can you do it? And I'll be like, yeah, like YA, like just to drive her nuts. It's funny.
Well, see, Gager's known me longer than you have, Cass, and Gager now sees me every day. Like, if you suggested an idea for the show that I didn't like, I would probably just be like, yeah, I don't think we want to do that. I wouldn't write okay. Yeah. I would actually write back like, I don't see where we go with that. What do you mean? Like, I would make you defend it,
which is fair. And that's, and I, again, like I just giggled to myself because I'm like, oh, this would be funny to talk about because anytime I do it, I get, my wife rolls her eyes at me frequently just because I'm always doing dumb things, but that's one where it's like I'm intentionally trying to bother her because I know it bugs her when I do that. So it just made me giggle.
Gager, how are you feeling, by the way? I wish you were here.
I'm better. Just I'll give it one more day. We'll see how I feel in the morning there. But I wasn't my Olympic self as usual the last few mornings. I'm just like, ugh, this is brutal. I don't understand it. Like I usually don't get sick. It's usually maybe once a year where I'm out for a bit, but I picked something up somewhere. I don't know. It's weird. Just feel like I'm underwater, just everything's kind of plugged up and stuff. So, but it's a lot better than it was a couple of days ago. So hopefully,
you sound pretty
by
good.
tomorrow. Yeah.
You sound pretty good.
Thanks, buddy.
It is the Turkey Day in the NFL, so that's been a triple header in football, I think going back to 06 or 07 now, so quite a while. So do you guys, because somebody asked me earlier, do you get excited about this day? And I said, I don't know if I do anymore. Maybe the closest thing I felt to excitement on NFL Thanksgiving Thursday was in university because I grew up without cable, right? So the NFL was this mysterious thing that I got to see the Super Bowl and maybe one other game a year on ITV by turning our aerial, and then in university, you're not in school like, 8 to 4. You might only have 2 or 3 hours of classes. Yes, you have homework, but you might be getting home at 2 and seeing the end of the first game and then actually sitting and watching the second game. But Iwanek made a good point. Now we work in sports, so it's not like you're playing hooky if you have the TV on with a football game like it might be in some offices. Like, do you guys have any special relationship or excited feelings about the triple header today?
No, I looking back at it as a kid, I remember it was on, right? And you'd see it would be on CBS and Madden and
Summerall.
Who was his partner?
Yeah.
Summerall. That like iconic kind of voices on your TV that wasn't on a Sunday was always neat. And they'd have the script, the Happy Thanksgiving with the turkey on there and a big turkey on the panel, I guess. That's how I remember it as a kid, I guess. But really, I mean, this is the first time that I've had it on, I think in my lifetime, where the Lions come on and you're just like, ugh. Is Megatron or Barry Sanders, they're just such wasted talents, just wasting away in that cesspool. But finally to see the Lions like actually be a good team, and now they're beating up on a terrible football team right now. But no, it is what it is. I mean, Cass laid it out. You should actually get into that, Cass. The whole history of Cass gave me a little bit of a history on giving to his family was right on point.
Yeah. Apparently my mic's a little low. Hernan's telling me. I don't know if I'll have to try to hot fix it here as we go. But in the meantime, I'll just talk a little bit louder and more into the mic. Well, first, to answer Reid's original question, it was never a big thing for me. I mean, I never even really thought about it. Like, we'd watch the football in the evening, but it just wasn't anything. It was just like, hey, there's a game in the evening after school, whatever. Maybe have it on, maybe don't. But then I moved down to the States. And then I married an American. So it's a big deal now, and like, we have a Thanksgiving event to go to tonight, so we'll be absolutely doing that. And they're doing brisket today, very Texas thing to do. So we'll be having brisket. We're making the cornbread and the salad. But no, I was telling Gager beforehand, what I texted the family, because we have a family text, and some people are a little all over, a lot of them in Minnesota, some in Houston, but so everyone's gonna wishing each other happy Thanksgiving, because it's a huge deal. It is a huge deal down there. Bigger travel day than Christmas is like your Thanksgiving, travel for Thanksgiving to go see your family. More people do that than they do for Christmas in the States. So it's a big deal. So I'll just read you my text to my family, my wife's family, so the American family. I said, happy Thanksgiving. Wish we were with you all to celebrate how the U.S. stole the Crown's Thanksgiving tradition years before they stole the Crown's land. You traitors. Happy Thanksgiving. I mean, it's always bugging them. But funny enough, the Canadian Thanksgiving, so it started about 30 years before the U.S.'s, 30 to 40 years prior, out in, I believe it was Nova Scotia, where they started. It was giving thanks for safe passage across the ocean. That's how it started. So I always remind them of that. They always, jokingly get mad at me and upset with me, and since most of them are from Texas, they take a tremendous amount of pride in being traitors. Apparently is something they're proud of. So that's we celebrate. I get 2 Thanksgivings, which is a great thing. And funny enough, we did brisket for Canadian Thanksgiving this year. I made up a brisket, and then we're going to have it again here tonight. And then actually with other American friends, we have another one tomorrow. So I have back-to-back Thanksgiving meals here, one Thursday night, one Friday night. It's going to be spectacular. So I might be a little comatose on Saturday from a food
that's
coma.
amazing.
Too much brisket, but yeah, it's good.
2 guys and a goalie off and running. Reid in for Dustin today. Of course, Kassian Gage are along for the ride as well. All presented by GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety driving their success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become part of the team. Visit gsconstruction.ca, click Ready to Work, or visit their page at Indeed.ca. With the Next Person Up program at GS Construction, it's not just a job, it's a career. Yeah, it's and by the way, the Oilers practice today. I think practice probably just wrapping up. They finally play again tomorrow, and I want to ask you guys some perspective of the break that they've had here. But I do find it interesting, and you know what? I was going to look it up, but I got a little busy. But it's been at least several years now. The NHL doesn't even try, right? It's like, yeah, no games. We'll have a whole bunch on Wednesday, and then go to the weekend. But it's just amazing what the NFL is. And it's not like the NFL has a full slate of games. They only have 1 game at a time. But the other leagues, because I do remember, even in my time hosting broadcasts, like there would be afternoon matinees in the NHL on Thanksgiving Thursday. And now it's just, hands off. We're such a little dog in the fight against the NFL big dog. We're not even going to nip at the heels anymore. It's just we back away.
No, it's what's that line from the Concussion movie?
Yeah, they own it
with Will Smith. They said the Lord does. They took the Lord's Day. That's how powerful the NFL is. I've got it kind of on in the corner. It's Shabuzi is playing in the halftime show of one of the games. Like it's ridiculous. It's turkey and football. Like it's kind of cool to have that day. And why would you try to even go up against that? So how many people have Thanksgiving dinner and can't wait to go sit on the couch with a full belly of the aforementioned belly of brisket and go watch some football games? You just can't compete with the NFL, even though there's only actually 6 minutes of actual playing time in these games.
All right.
Trying to hot fix the mic, so I missed some of that, but
that's okay.
There's no reason to try to go up against it. Like you're not going to win. You're not going to win. You will not win in the U.S. Now, you could do like an all-Canadian game. Like if you had a Thanksgiving Thursday night game of like the Oilers versus the Flames or something like that, or Montreal versus Toronto or Ottawa, like that would work. That'd be fine. Primarily Canadian audience. You could do a regional Canadian game. That would be fine. But realistically, it's like there's no way you're beating the NFL. So why even try?
Yeah. Okay. I had a goalie thing on here, Gager, but I'll leave the lingering thing for a little bit later because I do want your perspective on that. But let's look at the Oilers stuff. But I want to ask you guys first, if you guys were players, and the schedule came out not long after the Oilers were lost in Game 7 because they played for so long. But when you guys would have got your schedule, and if you would have seen this break like late November, what would have you thought? Would have you thought, oh, I hope there's like 3 days with no practice and I can get out of town? Or would have you just thought, okay, whatever, time to sleep and rest, it'll be late November by then? Like when a player sees the schedule and sees that gap, what would have been going through your minds when you initially saw it?
The first thing I would have thought, Reid, was we better be winning some games up to that point. That was my first, because you don't want to go into that break on a 5-game losing skid because you're probably going to have to practice the whole time throughout that. If you're winning, you might get a few extra days to kind of rest and relax. Probably that's what I first would have thought. And maybe, if I was in Edmonton, a nice little trip up to, either Banff or Jasper at that time, that's probably what I would have thought of for a day or so. No skiing, maybe a little skiing, I don't know. But that's probably what I would have thought, seeing that weird type of break that's not part of their bye week, which is weird throughout the schedule.
Well, guys, let me know, and Hernan, fire me a note if this sounds better. Hopefully it is.
Yeah, it is.
I tried. You're better. Think hot fixed it there, so I figured out what was going on. Hey, I would have been looking at this break and just salivating. I think most guys generally would, where, it's not that often you have those long breaks where it's like you can have a couple days, be at home for a couple days. Guys that are dads, you get to be dad for a couple days. And yes, you still have practice. Yes, you still have commitments, but you are in one place. And especially with it being, a Thanksgiving week for any guys that are American or like it's nice. It's nice to look forward to be able to have little breaks in the season. If you think of guys with injuries or that are banged up, to have a little bit of extra time where you're not having to put your body through battle is really nice. So it's, from a momentum standpoint, yeah, it can be detrimental. I think it can hurt you from, a positive momentum standpoint. But for the most part, I think guys look at these breaks and kind of go, this is going to be really nice. We're going to have a couple of days here and can actually shut down a little bit physically to help ourselves recover.
And you made a good point there too, Cass. I remember I believe it was Halloween, the Oilers played away on Halloween, right? So, and this is, not all of them have families and kids, but a lot of guys have multiple children and things. And, and I'm out walking around and seeing all the dads with their kids trick-or-treating. Those are things that you kind of miss out on, right? So now I'm sure I know for sure some of the swimming lessons that went on and some of the extra events that have been going on for their kids, as a dad that's so busy and on the road and things, you finally get a chance to partake in some of those things and probably to the to the encouragement of their spouses at that point, because they're probably tired of looking after these little bleeders, so now they can kind of hand them off and you can actually be a dad for a few days, which I'm sure a lot of them really appreciate.
Somebody posted that in the Nasty Chat. I think it was yesterday. I don't know if it wasn't during my show, mine and Jay's show, but they did say, Hyman's not doing great. He just had a baby, and, Nuge is a father. Like Hyman, it was his third kid, I believe. But I even remember that, when Rob and I were doing overtime open line, because remember Talbot was really good, and they got into the playoffs in 16-17, and then in 17-18 he wasn't as good, and we got a whole bunch of theories like, twins, he never sleeps, and all that kind of stuff, and I don't know, I couldn't talk about that. And Rob had twins, so he would say, yeah, it does change your life, but you kind of learn how to balance it. But is that Is that a valid thing to remember sometimes if a guy is a parent for a first time?
I've got a great little shtick on this. Now, I don't have factual proof to back it up. So in some ways it's hearsay, but this would have been back when I was playing. And Jason Spezza, so, and he, now helping out with Pittsburgh over there, but he made a claim, and I believe him with absolute certainty, that for offensive players in particular, now we'll touch on Talbot in a minute, but offensive players in particular, statistically, their worst, like aside from like rookie year, their worst point production year generally is the year they have their first baby. Nope, because it changes everything. Changes your routine, changes your life, changes focus, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I don't doubt that for a second. That statistically after that, because it changes your sleep patterns, it changes your commitments. You have more family stuff going on, and you have concerns outside of hockey, which is okay to have those things, but you have to adjust and learn that balance, and that takes time. Now on the Talbot thing, because I would have said this. Now, Reid, I know you were elsewhere at the time, but I would have been harping on this hard. Is that when Talbot had babies, this is what you have to look at with Talbot. When they had the twins, that's heading into a playoff run. Now, heading into a playoff run, you have new babies. Spouse is going to be fully on board if you go what you need to do. I know we have twins, there's newborns, but it's playoff time. You focus. You're going to have a ton of family help early on, right? Generally, no, not for everybody, but generally speaking, people are going to come into town. You're going to have people around to help you out. Because you just had twins and it's playoffs, so it's an important time. Now, what would have happened with Talbot, so what didn't surprise me at all, is his drop off the next season, because what happens in the summer is all of a sudden now you have to get back to we'll call it the new normal, right? Where you are as a family unit, all of a sudden you have to make an adjustment. You're not going to have the same help. Family's not going to be there all the time to take the pressure off. There's going to be, and rightfully so, there's going to be expectations from your spouse or partner that, hey, you're going to actually have to be around and you're going to have to help when you can. And yes, we're going to do things to, allow you to have success as an athlete, but you still are a dad and you still have to participate in that. And so it's like, well, over the summer, now you're going to be establishing those new norms. And then heading into the season, you're going to have to adapt those norms. And so it's like, for Talbot, it was the next season. It wasn't right when they had the twins, because I was heading into playoffs. It was the next season where it's like, okay, that adjustment to your game day routine, to what you're doing. Kids are up. They're up at 6. They're up at 6, right? Like it doesn't matter that dad got home at 2 a.m. from a road trip. They may be trying to be quiet, and the spouse or partner may be helping, but it's like kids are still going to be up at 6. Kids still going to have schools, still going to have commitments. Like there's still just stuff to do. So it is just an adjustment, and it's a real human part. We view these guys and players and athletes as machines, and in some ways they are, but there's a real human element that it's like, no, they still have to deal with real life outside of the rink. And for anybody that hasn't had the pleasure or joy of having a newborn, it's a big change. Like it's a massive change. And even going and people ask, like, because I got 3, is like, the going 0 to 1 was the biggest change, because it completely changes everything. 1 to 2, it was actually in some ways easier than the first, because you're not worried. The baby squawks and you're not like freaking out about like, do you need to go to the hospital because they squawked and I thought they were sleeping? Like you're not, the pacifier drops in the floor and you're not like sanitizing everything 5 times to make sure it's okay. You're just kind of like, well, whatever, third's okay. Like, and give it back to like the second one. It's a little different, but the third one, and this is for Hyman, an interesting thing. The third one was almost as hard as the first, because you go from man on man to zone defense, right? Like where it's like, now there's 2 and the older 2 are fighting, and you're trying to deal with the youngest now newborn. So it's like, it just adds in a whole extra layer of complexity. And it's a real human thing where it's like, yeah, no, that is an adaptation. You have to adapt and you have to change. And it makes game days different. It makes travel different. It makes off days different. Like it changes, and that doesn't make it better or worse. And, I love babies. I love when people have kids, and I know there's some people that's a hard thing, and they're not able to, or they don't, or it's been challenging, which is a real hard thing. But for these athletes where it's real that there are people outside of the rink that have to deal with that. So yeah, hey, it affects you. Sorry, that's a long rant.
Oh, that's a good answer.
But,
You're speaking from firsthand experience for sure, which is good. And I mean, it is a reminder. I know some fans are interested in this, and some fans are like, Reid, don't ever say anything that sounds like an excuse. But we do remember
that's not an excuse.
Kids
it's
are
real.
They're human beings away from the rink, right? I mean, look what Adam Larson went through a few years ago, with his father passing away mid-season. Yeah, like he had to be away from the team. He didn't play as well. Like, how could you when he was out on the ice, right? Like, stuff happens, right? So I do think that's really good perspective. I always find, I know it gets said, but I always love that man-to-man and zone comparison. I just find that really funny. I guess as someone who's not a parent too, I can just laugh at it. But anyway, all right. So the Oilers will travel today to Salt Lake City, and they will play the Utah Hockey Club tomorrow. Quick plug for the Reid Wilkins Show. I am scheduled to be joined by Dylan Gunther, the former Oil King,
nice,
with Utah and doing really well and got a big contract extension earlier this season. Utah, what was it? The Utah Grizzlies in the minors? Either of you have a Grizzly encounter or a Grizzly story or a Utah encounter from your journeys?
Never played in Utah.
Never. You never wound up there all game, right? No,
I never played in the IHL. So I missed a lot of those cities. It was just American League, and that was it. I didn't go to the So
yeah, I missed out on that too. Yeah, there was no team in Utah when I was playing, or I didn't play there at any rate. So no, I missed it out. But I have talked with guys that are that were around at that time and that did play there, and they all loved it. I mean, most people said it's a fantastic place, either on the road or I'm trying to remember who I was talking to that played there for a little bit. Not coming to the top of my mind. Maybe it'll pop in at some point, and then I'll just kind of shout out and interrupt one of you guys in the middle of the sentence with a name. So I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about it. It just as a city that it's an amazing place to play. So yeah, hey, I'm interested to watch because I haven't watched, seen highlights, but I don't think I've watched any of the home games with Utah, like from start to finish, where I've watched it through, just to even see camera angles and stuff in that building with the overhang, what that's like. Because it just makes me think of the old Key Arena in Seattle, playing there in junior and playing in San Antonio in the minors. Because playing in San Antonio in the minors, it's you played the rink where the Spurs play. It was very much set up for basketball. You had the same overhang where it's like it's a basketball facility, and so you have black curtains at one end and then a little bit of an overhang, like over top of basically the rink at one end. So it was very different, and more so for Gager and for the goalies, where it's like you had complete blackout at one end, and it kind of made it difficult to see if the puck's in the glass or up high, looking that direction. It's like it's hard to track in that environment. Which I don't know, Gager, if you want to jump in on that at all. But like, what's that like as a goalie, having to play in a building where it's like you got this big black curtain at the other end? Just visually, how do you deal with that?
It's annoying, first of all, because it doesn't come into play too much, but sometimes, the puck will go up in the air, and depending on where you are, you're looking up, and then you'll lose it, right? And then maybe just get a glimmer because there's one side of the puck that usually has the team logo on there or something, so you can kind of pick it back up a little bit. But I hated rinks like that. When I went to Europe, it was really frustrating at times, because in some arenas they'd have like the Vauxhall or the Skoda car in the corner, and even dumping it around, you'd look over and there'd be this like a car there with the black backdrop, and it's just, you would lose the puck if it went off on the glass and things like that. So yeah, it was something to deal with. It wasn't too bad, but it is a little bit annoying. I remember where the Coyotes played in Phoenix to begin with. It was the same type of thing where the Suns did, and the one area just had that huge overhang that was just, and then you'd see these people sitting way back in it. It must have been an awful place to watch a game.
I like that you referenced those cars in Europe. That's the one thing from the World Championships. Oh, there's a car in the corner. Yeah, I've seen a couple games from Utah. I haven't watched I remember their very first game. I think I watched the last half or the third period, because didn't they play Chicago? Their very first home game, I think. The one thing about Utah is, I wonder, I guess the rumor is Yeti is the team name is what it's going to be. Maybe I'll see if Dylan Gunther can tip me off because I think one of the players might have accidentally said it a few weeks ago. I remember when the names were being suggested, somebody said the Utah Buzz, and I thought that sounded pretty cool because then you'd have the Jazz and the Buzz. But I don't think they're going to go with that. But the jerseys, I know when they put the jerseys out a couple weeks ago, like they set a record, right, for sales. It's just the classic Utah diagonal. But whenever I see a highlight or I turn the TV on, I always think, oh, that's the Jets. And then, oh, it's Utah. Like, to me, the uniforms are very Jets looking right now. So I wonder what and if any modifications there might be for next season.
There'll be some. I mean, I think, and I've said for a while, I like the Yeti. I think if that is what it ends up being, and it looks like it will be, it's a good name. It's a good name. You can have a cool logo, cool mascot. Like it'll be good. And I'm happy they took their time with it. There still is a part of me that would like them just to be the Utah Hockey Club. And I think you could do like a cool UHC jersey. Like you could think of all the Premier League teams and European like football teams that are like Manchester United, and all like those teams. Like it's pretty cool. I think you don't need a mascot type name. You could have the Utah Hockey Club. It's just kind of like the Canadians to a certain extent. And it's like you could have a really cool jersey like with just UHC on it would look pretty awesome. I think you could do some cool stuff with it. I mean, at times I think from a color standpoint, you may be a little bit confused with the Jets, but I think that'll get, as they do an actual logo, I don't think we'll be dealing with that, but I do still like the colors. Like it's going to be a good look, cool jerseys. If it's Yeti, that'll be pretty cool. Some cool sponsorship opportunities too. Like with that, you can have some fun if you're in Utah with some of the sponsorship stuff with that.
You're not
well,
the first
Yeti,
person.
the cool or the with the mugs, right. If they don't jump on board, and I know they've been in some, I think F1 I saw some Yeti stuff, but if they don't jump on board, if they're called Yeti, and these guys don't have like Yeti water bottles on the bench, like that would be unique. But I just imagine, because I think it's perfect. They set up with the hockey club. They'll always have a kind of third jersey that they can go back to each year, the retro jersey from their inaugural season, things like that. So it's a good little marketing play if they switch completely to Yeti next year and go from there.
All right. Cass, I am going to get to your idea that I responded enthusiastically to earlier. I think I'm even going to make that hired or fired. But there's a couple other things I want to hit on. So last night, everybody played last night except Edmonton and Utah. So in all the games, Lindgren, the goalie for the Capitals, if people haven't seen the highlight, basically he stops the puck like out from his net to a little bit to the right, and he goes to dump it behind the net and shoots it straight into his goal. They did win the game, so that's good. It wasn't the winning goal. You could see his reaction. One of his teammates immediately skated by and because I guess what do you do if you're a teammate? You'd be like, hey buddy, forget about it. But Gager, I'll start with you since you're the goalie here. I don't know if you had a gaffe of that magnitude of actually shooting it into your own net, but that happens so rarely, right? Because they're so good handling the puck. What did you think when you saw that?
Well, you don't usually bury it like that. I mean, me being me, I probably would have skated by their bench and high-fived everyone, right? I think that would have been perfect. I mean, I've put the puck in my own net a few times, indirectly, or, I'm reaching for it and I hit it with my glove or something. But I as soon as I saw that, I tried to think of another time where a goalie has just turned and fired it straight into their own net. I can't think of very
It has to have happened, though.
Oh, yeah. Of course it has. I thought, did Mike Smith do it once?
He probably did it 10 times in his career.
Oh, man. I mean, it's kind of funny because, of course, you don't mean to do something like that. And when I can distinctly remember, if I would get the puck there and I was going to shoot it behind that, I would go extra effort, don't bury this in your net. Even if you don't get the angle right on the back, just make sure you don't put this in the center. But pretty funny goal to go in. And, you look at the coaches, you look at his face, you knew he was just oh my gosh, this is going to be on TV for the next month, highlights of the night.
misplays of the day for sure. And I felt bad. I mean, it's funny. I felt bad for him. I actually had a chance to meet Charlie and his wife Michaela this summer. My wife and I, which was good, and chat with them for a little while. And just wonderful people. He's actually just a fantastic young man. He's still a goalie, so they're all goalies, but a fantastic young man. And so I felt bad for him, like, oh, that sucks. But at the same time, I was just giggling because I'm like, and fortunately, the thing that I think is the great thing for Charlie Lindgren is that they won the hockey game. Right. Yeah. Like they still managed to win it. And so from a team standpoint, it's like you have the ability to go back and laugh about it because it's like you won the game. So it's like, no harm, no foul in some ways. Like you still managed to win. But man, third period with like 12 minutes left and you just bury one that badly. And it wasn't like you said, Gage, it wasn't like you were like reaching back, trying to make a huge save and like you bumped it like when it was sitting on the goal line. Like that's like you spun and just ripped that right into your own net. And man, like, and credit to the rest of the team too, though, because you know how much that sucks and that stings. Where I don't doubt that on that bench, everyone's like, oh, we better bail him out of this, right? Like we gotta find a way to get back in this one and to ultimately win the hockey game because we don't want to just completely shatter this guy's confidence for the rest of the year, which that could do, right? Like you do that, like you could ruin yourself. And we've seen players, look at like a Steve Smith. I mean, I know that's different goal, different era, but where it's like he was never the same after that, scoring on your own net, like never the same. And that wasn't even a play that was nearly as bad as this one. So yeah, it was funny. I'm happy they won, and it just will give us a great highlight for years and years to come.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys, and maybe these are a little not out of left field, but a little overly specific, but I want to ask in case you guys might have a thought. So he shoots it into his net, and the first, I can't remember the player, but the first Capital guy back, you could see goes up to him, pats him on the back. Is that enough, or do other players, when they go out between stoppages, all need to say something, or is it just like that first guy says, Charlie, forget about it, we got you, and then play on, or would other players feel compelled to say something in the game as well?
No, the first guy is probably enough. You might, depending on the team you're on, you might get a guy to come back and say, hey, nice shot, and just kind of just
laugh about it.
It depends on the character or the humor level of the goaltender at that point. I'm sure there's some goalies you wouldn't want to say that to, but I'm sure I'm almost positive there'd be at least one guy on my team, if I ever did that, would skate by me and go, hey, nice, I didn't know you wanted a goal that bad. Like,
do you think Lindgren would have been able to joke about it after the game because they won? Like maybe he stood up in the dressing room and be like,
I think
hey,
so.
guys, just so you know, I was trying to go bar down and I flubbed it. Something like
that.
Yeah. And I think, and I don't know, because I didn't see the after, like, because you know how teams will do like hardest working guy of the night or like hard hat or like the belt or whatever. Like they'll do stuff like that. It's like, you got to give it to him and you got to be like burying a goal, right? Like you just, you turn it into a joke, and not like a cruel joke, but like a, hey, we all make mistakes type of joke. And like you spin it, right? Like it's taking the rumor, it's taking the thing, and you spin it. Right? Like where you turn something that maybe isn't a great thing in the moment and you turn it into something that actually pulls everyone together, that you can smile about, laugh about, that becomes a unifying rallying cry in some ways. So
he should do the years and years ago in the Pacific Coliseum, a Swedish defenseman, his name was Lars Lindgren, and he got the puck on the wall. And it was I think it was probably a home game, the game prior, and he fired it straight into his net, trying to wrap it around. And so it just went straight in. And the next night, I was actually at the next Canucks game, and I'd always stay for the 3 stars because I wanted to see. I think he was like first or second star that game. He came out with a puck, and where he shot it from was across the ice. So he actually went across the ice, put a puck down and rimmed it around and just showed everyone he could do it and went off the ice. Oh, it was, and the place went absolutely bizarre.
Oh yeah,
when he
nuts.
did that.
That's amazing.
It was one of the most amazing hockey experiences, like, because I was just a kid, right, walking out with my dad, and it's the sea of people. That's everything that everyone was talking about was just Lars Lindgren ripping it around the boards to show everyone he could do it. It was great. So that's what the Lindgren should do. If he gets a star, just come out, put the puck down, shoot it around, and go off.
That'd be awesome.
I'm gonna have to ask my colleague Jay Milne about that this afternoon, because as you guys know, Jay played high level football. Junior was U of A, and like he hates kickers because he's like, you got one job. You don't even practice with anybody else. You just have to make a kick or punt it exactly 43 yards. So I wonder if you can say, like, the goal, you got one job. Don't let the puck go into your own net, and you put it in yourself. So I wonder if he was losing his mind seeing that. But
he probably was.
I'll get to him with that a little bit later. Okay, it is time for Cass. I've made you wait. Hire it or fire it for GS Construction. Hiring now. Become a part of their great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca or their page on Indeed.ca. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS Construction has been built on efficiency, quality, and safety. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction. Okay, Cass, I'll just you can do all the tee up and take it wherever you like here.
Oh, for the first one, I got the first one. Okay, all right. So
you texted me, right? I thought you.
Yeah. No. Good. I didn't know if you had it tucked in. So, okay, hire it or fire it for GS Construction. Connor Bedard should be on the Team Canada roster for the Four Nations Cup.
I'm going to fire it. He's having an off year. He probably wouldn't even play anyways. Just with his situation this year, I think he could just use this time to not have to. I know he's the heir apparent, not the heir apparent, but looks like he'll eventually be on this team at some point. But look, Caitlin Clark didn't make the U.S. basketball team, right? She was a rookie. There's lots of time for this.
Yeah, but she should have. That was garbage.
That was absolute trash. But it's not the best comparison, but I'm just saying, that spot should be suited for someone else.
So who just as a follow-up, or sorry, Reid, go ahead, and then I got a follow-up.
Yeah, I'm glad you threw that in there, and because I know now there's a little more roster talk with it coming out on Wednesday. Gage, I know you guys did quite a bit yesterday. Milne and I are a little more cynical about the whole event, but that's another story. Bedard specifically, my first instinct, Cass, was when you put that out there was put him on the team. Let him be around those guys. He is going to be a long-time, Team Canada participant in Olympics or whatever tournaments we wind up having over the course of his career. But he might be the healthy scratch for the entire tournament. Does that really help him? And, we still live in a country where, we want to reward hockey excellence. And I've been saying this about a lot of Oilers as we've reached the quarter point. This guy's on pace for this many goal. Like, he's on pace for 15 or 16 goals. That's not an elite level production for a player you want in a tournament. I know this isn't the Olympics, but it's still, it's going to be people who care about it. There's going to be people watching it. So when you first posted that, my first instinct, well, yeah, of course, hire it. Let the kid be around those other players. But then given what he's actually done on the ice, I think I have to be a little bit of a hard butt about it and fire it.
Okay. Yeah, and so my follow-up was going to be, if you had to hire it, is who does he replace? Like, if I force you to hire it, like, who comes out of the lineup for Bedard?
Well, see, that's the thing, because there isn't even a roster yet.
Yeah. Well, anticipated. Like, who would you anticipate? Like a Thomas from St. Louis?
Oh, maybe, yeah.
But you put Holloway in there?
Yeah. But again, I'm going to give my
projected roster. So NHL.com did a projected roster 2 days ago. So it's pretty fresh. They have Bedard on it. They have Barzal, Crosby, Konechny, Lafreniere, McKinnon, Marchand, Marner, McDavid, Point, Reinhart, Scheifele, and Stone. And they said they replaced Stamkos from their last roster. Other people have mentioned Bennett, players like that. Hyman's name still floats around a little bit, but he doesn't have a lot of goals. Yeah, I mean, I think you make a good point. Who do you push off to put them on? I
don't know.
I would struggle to push any of those guys off.
Yeah, I would struggle. I would struggle as well. I'm gonna take a different approach to this, to be kind of contrarian to both you guys that hate Connor Bedard. I'm going to take a little bit of a different view, but not for a play reason, and not even for an experience reason, but from a marketing reason. To say that I think if you're looking at this from the league standpoint and from Canada's standpoint, I mean, here's a guy that is one of the next generation. Marky Bill, he's on all kinds of commercials. He's playing in the U.S., in a major market, in Chicago. The league is going to want him on that team, right? If you're thinking about people watching, tuning in, storylines, things to talk about, things to push, things to grab the attention in media and fandom, having Connor Bedard helps you. Like having Connor Bedard helps you with that regard. And so I think, if you're trying to sell the game, you probably bring him and put him on the team. Now, if you're just Team Canada thinking, we just want to win, you may take a little bit of a different perspective to it. But if you are looking to try to create more buzz, you got to have him on there, even if from a play standpoint this season he doesn't deserve to be.
But is not saying McDavid and Crosby are going to be on the same team for the first time, does that not create any buzz? Or are you thinking about...
Well, it creates some, but it just creates additional. Right, exactly. Like you want Chicagoans, Illinoisians, whatever you want to call them, people that live there, to make some Illinois, then yeah, maybe you do. Like again, it's a major U.S. market, and to get them, just an additional storyline for people in that market to be like, oh, Connor Bedard's on Team Canada, right? Like it creates something there. So I could make a case for it there. Now, again, granted, I wouldn't have him on my roster, but right. I just wanted to provide a little bit of a contrarian opinion.
So Button has Thomas on, Hagel, and Cirelli as some of the depth guys, and then some of the top. Well, I mean, McDavid, McKinnon, and Marchand are already on, right? But some of the other points are already on. The Scheifele, Konechny's on, Buttons as well. So I didn't realize Hagel was having that good of a year. Cam Moonell like that, right? Because he played. But anyway, but he'd be a fourth liner / healthy scratch. Maybe, I don't know. I guess maybe you put him on and see what he could do. I don't know if they'll think about the marketing side of I hadn't thought of that though, Cass, because I think the tournament will get marketed and will get people excited to maybe watch some hockey at that time of year, as opposed to being in the dog days of the NHL season. I don't know if they would think about that or not. What do you think, Gager?
I don't know. I was just sorry. I was thinking about the Cirelli and Hagel portion of it. It's probably more of a John Cooper kind of boost at that point.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, that's
right?
fair.
So some familiarity with a couple players. I mean, you're still looking at fourth line kind of roles for those guys, I guess. I don't know. It's always the same with Canada, except when you look at the goaltending position. But you could basically make two teams. It's very, very difficult. I was complaining yesterday on with Hernan that I think it's too early to finalize these teams. Like, what's the rush?
I know.
I mean, this is what the marketing of it all. I mean,
well, you have to let the players know at some point too, right? Like from a planning standpoint for their lives. Like you can't have guys that are on the bubble, maybe not. Like if they're going to have planned to have that time off because you give them time off, like and they want to do something with their family, like you have to.
Yeah, I get that. So giving it one more month, okay. Like I'd be okay with why end of November when this thing's not till middle of February. January, first week of January. have it.
Yeah, I'm with you too.
Yeah.
I'm with you there, Gage. Unless they're so conscious of, okay, we don't want to announce it during the World Juniors, so that rules out the first week of January, and then the second week of January is too close to the event, and we don't want to do it like on December 18th because people are thinking about
right before
and they might
Christmas,
not say-
people aren't
so-
paying attention. Yeah.
But like from an Oilers perspective, because I was saying on my show yesterday that maybe Oilers fans should be thankful that it might just be McDavid on Team Canada. Let everybody else rest. You know, Draisaitl's not like Ekholm might make Sweden. We'll see. But from an Oilers perspective, it is not outside the realm of possibility that Zach Hyman scores 12 goals in December, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we want him on the team.
Yeah.
We're on the team, but he might be right now. I'd say he's certainly a longer shot to get on.
Yeah, I don't think you can have Hyman on right now. He's injured. You don't know the severity of that. And B, it's just he hasn't had the same. He doesn't even look like the same player. That's the thing. Like if he was still that junkyard dog looking, I think this is something that he's picked up that's gotten worse over time. It's a little bit worrisome with the Hyman injury to me personally, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll get an update from today, so we'll have more throughout the afternoon here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Yeah, again, we're talking about it though. Like I kind of feel again. I said yesterday, all right, it's like this made-up tournament. I think the United States is going to be the favorite. Okay, you guys hiring or firing it that the United States is the favorite in this tournament, even before seeing the rosters? I'm hiring that.
Cass?
No, I'm going to fire it. You haven't seen the rosters. You have McDavid. You have McKinnon. You have McCarr. Like, how are you going to not be the favorite? I get you have the goaltending question on the Canadian side, and that's not a question at all for the Americans, where it's like you're going to have really good goaltending. And I think that's where most people would say the U.S. is the favorite. But outside of that, it's like, yeah, Team Canada could be really good. Like it could go either way. I don't see the U.S. as being a clear-cut favorite. Rosters haven't been announced, and when we look at projected possible rosters, yeah, U.S. is going to be really good. But I can't say they're a clear-cut favorite. You can't say that. Not on top of McDavid. Not on top of McKinnon. Like you cannot say that. So I'm going to fire that.
Yeah, they have arguably the best three hockey players on the planet on Team Canada with the aforementioned McCarr, McKinnon, and Connor McDavid. So, and then you just sprinkle in a little Sidney Crosby. We all know what he's capable of in these types of situations too. Yeah, the big X factor is the goaltending, but that can sometimes work in the Canada's favor, right? Though now you're going into when have you gone into an international tournament and thought you were hesitant about Canadian goaltending? Like they should always be better than the opposition. This time they're finally an underdog. I think in every single game, when you look at the rosters, there'll be check marks of who's got the edge. It'll be in goaltending for basically every other country aside from Canada. So Canadian goaltenders with chips on their shoulders, that could be beneficial too.
That's true. And it is 4 games maximum. So anything. I don't know. I think I was being quite curmudgeonly about the tournament yesterday. But my top 3 yesterday was my top 3 annoyances about the Four Nations face-off, which is still over 2 months away from actually happening. And I'm already annoyed about some things, gentlemen. All right. Gager, I know you got another show coming up. So we'll give you a chance to grab a 4-minute nap.
Thank you.
Get ready to be on with her. Cass, enjoy the multiple Thanksgiving dinners over the next 2 days. I look forward to extensive reviews of the food quality.
Yeah. I'll snap some pictures and send them to you guys just to make you feel good. So
let's have a brisket comparison, Cass.
Night to night. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll respond with a small letter K. Hey guys, I hate this. Okay. All right.
See, you're getting it. That's amazing. I love it.
On behalf of Joaquin Gage and Matt Kassian, I'm Reid Wilkins in for Dustin Nielson. I will have my show with Jay Milne at 3, and of course, Gager and Hernan Salas coming up. 2 Guys and a Goalie has been presented by GS Construction. Talk to you soon.